terror at 3,000 feet. Have there been setbacks in your life lately? Do you feel like at times you are suffering through sheer terror with the financial condition in your life? Do you have unpaid bills and creditors calling you with demands, maybe even the terror of a foreclosure on the horizon? I believe I can help you with something I learned many years ago while piloting my small plane. Fasten your seat belts, put your tray in the locked-up position and learn from my experience, something that will really change your life. It was the 5th of December, in 1995, when I took my brother Kurt out for an airplane ride as a birthday present. I met him at the Independence Airport in Independence, Oregon, about 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. The weather was cold, holding at about 33 degrees Fahrenheit, with a cloud cover at about 3,300 feet. The little airport sits at about 100 feet above sea level, so I was not concerned about snow or icing at the time. I pulled the plane out of the hangar onto the ramp and did my usual walk around before we boarded. It was a tight fit as we both shoe-horned ourselves into the little cockpit of the little two-seater aircraft, a 1991 Taylor craft. I had the plane built for me a few years before, at a resurrected airplane factory in Pennsylvania. It was constructed of metal tubing with a cloth covering, and had typical tricycle landing gear like the newer airplanes. The original Taylor crafts were first built in the 1930s and discontinued several times over the years, before starting up again in 1990. For a brief period, we took off the 2,800-foot runway with the intention of flying about 20 miles east toward Staten, where my brother's little farm was, to take some pictures. When we got out over his farm, it was sunny and clear, and we flew around the area for a while taking in the scenery. When we were done, we headed back toward the airport, as this was only going to be a short flight. There was very little heat in the cockpit due to a poor heating system, so we were in a hurry to get down. On our way back, we had to drop down to the 3,000 feet altitude again to get under the clouds at the airport. All of a sudden, Kaewang! We ran into a squall of rain under one portion of the clouds. Instantly the airplane was covered with ice. There were icicles hanging from the wings, and the windshield was completely covered with ice. We could not see a thing forward. Right away my mind had to go into a different mode. How on earth was I going to land the plane with no forward visibility? I said a quick prayer as I looked toward Kurt, who was huddled up in the fetal position in the passenger's seat. Then it came to me, and I knew that it could only have been God putting this in my mind. You can land the plane like the biplane pilots do with no forward visibility on final approach. I had 3 miles to get to the airport, which has no tower, only a unicom system where pilots talk to each other around the airport. I declared an emergency to the other pilots in the area and headed for the runway. This whole time I am flying the plane by looking out the side windows for landmarks to get back. I came in from the east with the intention of landing in the north direction on the runway. I slow down as much as I can and pull full flaps at 90 miles per hour, which is really too fast for this little plane, as I looked at the runway out my right window. I then made a sharp right turn toward the runway, hoping that I would be lined up on it. Now I was flying blind. Fortunately for us, the runway has a white dashed center line down the middle. I could see, through the iced windshield, faint flashes of the dashes pass as we screamed down the runway, trying to reduce the speed before we run out of pavement. I yelled at Kurt, "I can see the runway." Within a few seconds, as we neared the end of the runway, I heard a small chirp of the tires and we were down. I taxied over to the hangar and as soon as we stopped the ice started to melt. By the way, there was no defroster installed on the plane. We gave each other high fives. We had made it. Here is what I learned from this, and I hope that you can take away some value also. When you are going through life and you cannot see the future ahead of you, and it is bleak and iced over, you can still make it. You can take one day at a time and look out the side windows of life and learn to enjoy the trip. You can have faith that the runway is lined up and dead ahead. In the business world you need the same faith. You have done all you could to get into the right business, and have learned the ways to make it grow and prosper. You have planned for the future, and have goals set out for the years ahead. Now you just need to have faith that it will all work the way you have planned as you take one day at a time. This is especially true on the internet. You trust others who have gone before you and accomplished great things to show you how you can duplicate their success. When you follow their lead, your windshield will start clearing up. Gregory N. Fish.